Good evening, Oakland and beyond. It's been a while, a little over a month, actually, since the last time we came at you, and we'll get into things with that in a bit on what happened with that. But, hey, we're back at you. Spring training's underway and got a whole lot to talk about on what will be an abbreviated spring training edition of your number one source for everything and anything on your Oakland athletics. Welcome to show number 330, the spring training editions of AsFAnRadio. What's going on, everybody? It is the legally 5150 Cpl Oaktown coming at you, of course, as always, from Dub 6 Studios located in the Eastmont Hills of Oakland, California. A whole lot going on my end since the last time we came at you near the tail end of January. Some of you probably saw the posts about it. I had a little accident after the Super Bowl back on February the 12th. Wasn't paying attention to where I was going when I got off the bus over at my late mother-in-law's house while my wife and I swap out with my sister-in-law to watch the house every now and then over there. Wasn't paying attention. Next thing I know, I'm making out with the asphalt and got scraped up pretty bad. I'm almost finally fully recovered from that, luckily, and part of that was why I took a little bit of a month off from doing the show, and also some stuff going on with the case related to the ongoing investigation into the murder of my late aunt back in the summer of 2020. Is the jackass that murdered her and another person is apparently incompetent to stand charges, which is just ridiculous, but, give it, typical law BS. It is what it is. So we'll get an update more on that sometime in August. And if we hear anything else, of course, I'll throw things out there every now and then to let you know about that. And, hey, if you haven't known, it's my birthday today. I actually can't recall if this is the first time we've done an AFR broadcast on my actual birthday. I'll have to dig into the archive and find out about that at some point. And I'm not alone for this abbreviated birthday edition of my show, as, of course, joining me, however, he's not at the Bauce pad in Alameda. He's over in San Francisco for a basketball practice game, whatever, involving his steps-on. It's the other half of what's become known on this broadcast as the dynamic duo, the main man, the Bauce man. Bauce, what's up?
Well, let me start off with saying happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to the corporal. And John Fisher, fuck you too. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
AsFAnRadio exclusive right there.
Yeah, happy birthday, man. You got to cherish it. One day out the year, you know that something is different in your life. That's why, I never work on my birthdays. I just never will. Any employer that I've never, company I'm a part of, whatever, I'll tell them to kiss my ass because it's just the one day I know. Hey, man, I was born on it, and, a lot of people don't get a lot of birthdays. A lot of birthday celebrations have not been happening for people. If you look at the number of people on this planet that have died, due to COVID, my father-in-law, he died last August, actually. The funeral was in September. But, you got to be really grateful for life, man. So I just tell you that, keep, 38 special that you are, man, enjoy it. But, you sit there, have a drink, you look back the last 38 years, people, have come in your life, people who had to leave for whatever various reasons, take it all in, man, and just feel good about you saying you got to see another year officially today.
Thank you very much for that, Bauce man, and thank you also as well to my family, friends, and followers of this podcast that have been giving me birthday shout-outs throughout the course of the day. That's always greatly appreciated by myself. But, yeah, definitely enjoy them, and try not to make sure that you're in the position that I found myself in, which is spending this birthday recovering from getting into a fight with the sidewalk. And, of course, the sidewalk, like the internet, remains undefeated. And, yeah, just make sure you're not out there having to recover with cuts and chipped tooths and whatnot like I'm unfortunately dealing with. Anywho, before we get on further into tonight's edition of the show, just to piggyback on what I meant by an abbreviated edition of the show, we're basically going to do the equivalent of what would just be the first half of the broadcast. So first time in a while, it's going to be just a straight-up baseball talk edition of the show for a while. And with that being the case, there won't be any breaks during this edition of the broadcast. But there is still a fan question of the night sitting out there, and I will, of course, get to what that fan question is in a little bit, because one of the other things that we wanted to make sure that we touched on and discussed and went over and continued to share in the morning with of fellow A's fans is during the time that we were away from the internet radio airwaves, we unfortunately lost a member of the A's family, and that was, of course, an individual who was known as the captain. He was part of those dynasty squads that the A's had from 72 to 74. He was, of course, developed in the Ames farm system prior to that team taking the league by storm during the early to mid-70s, and just was one of many cornerstone third baseman that the Athletics franchise has had since the team moved out to Oakland in 1968. And that was, of course, the passing of Captain Sal Bando. The following that I'll be reading is statements that were released by Bando's family and the Oakland A's back on January the 21st of this year. The Bando family statement reads as, "It is with a heavy heart the Bando family is sad to announce the passing of their husband and father, Sal, on Friday, January the 20th, losing his battle with cancer that began over 5 years ago. Sandy, Sal's wife of 54 years, and sons, Sal Jr., Sonny, and Steph, send their love to family, friends, and fans who mourn the loss of a humble and faithful man." The statement from the Oakland Athletics reads as follows. "We are heartbroken to learn of the passing of Athletics Hall of Famer Sal Bando. Captain Sal, as he was affectionately known among the A's faithful, was a four-time All-Star and led the club to 3 consecutive World Series titles. Our deepest condolences are with his family, friends, and fans." And for those of you that may have forgotten, since he's moved on to go manage the Padres down in SoCal, one of the reasons why former A's manager Bob Melvin wore the number 6 was because, hey, that happened to be Sal's number. An individual that obviously played on the A's a whole decade plus before yours truly stepped foot on the planet, but obviously have seen highlight videos of him, heard stories from individuals that I've known out there and fans that I've ran across over the years that I actually did get the chance to see Captain Sal play in person, and just, a real true leader on a very nitty-gritty A's squad that basically beat the crap out of each other in the clubhouse and then proceeded to beat the crap out of whoever they were facing on the field that night for 3 straight years. And definitely a loss that is felt amongst the fan base. He's one of those guys, like a Ray Fosse or a Bill King, to just bring up some of the individuals that have passed in the last, decade or so that are tied to the A's. It's an individual where, because of what they did, it's just going to be with you there for a long time. And would have been nice to have seen the A's turn back into a contender and do some stuff before Sal passed away, but unfortunately, that's just how the cookie crumbles in some instances and whatnot. Boss man, your thoughts on the passing of the late Captain Sal Bando?
Oh, man, heartbreaking. As I told you guys a decade ago when I joined this show, a lot of those intricate heroes and those special people that really made, the American life what it is, especially with the advent of radio and television, just kind of the mass medium, if you will. A lot of our legends are gone, man, and this guy was no less a legend than anybody in Bay Area history. When you look at the importance of the Oakland A's putting the Bay Area sports scene on the map, he was the captain of it all. He was the leader of it all, providing true leadership for a young squad that pretty much changed a lot of, how would I say, just the presentation of how players looked. I mean, guys wearing white shoes, mustaches, facial hair, and, long hair, and just not giving a damn, being quite an eclectic group. And he was the leader of all that crazy stuff. I mean, we look at the days when the Giambi brothers and the DJ Frank Menachino and shit, the A's, and wow. There's no wilder clubhouse than those guys, man. Just to hear stories from my dad. My dad loves Sal Bando. I think Reggie was his favorite because he's part of Reggie's regiments. But Sal Bando was like his other guy. Him and Campy, man, Bert Campaneris, man. Man in that side of the diamond. The cancer, man, is just it's a tragic thing. It doesn't care about your social-economic status, your ethnicity, your race, your however you want to identify your sexuality. It comes and gets everybody. And, we all wish that there was a way to really stop this. I mean, as you guys know, we lost a really important person in me and Keith's life last summer. Godfather Greg Grizz Jones. You think of all the people that you've lost, and gosh, we had some way how to really beat the cancer thing, man. We might have some more special people to stay on just a little bit longer. To have a few more laughs with, to part some more nuggets of wisdom. So, it's a difficult thing, but he lived a great life, was a part of 3 world titles. I mean, the only real dynasty in Bay Area history. Yes, you got to win 3 in a row. Don't give me that 3 out of 4 or 3 out of 6, 3 out of 5. No, you got to win 3 in a row to be a real dynasty. We're not moving the goalposts on that. I mean, the guy was a consistent AL MVP during that run with the A's. I mean, as far as he was in the running for it. He was an all-star. He was a guy that could hit doubles. During this time, he could hit for a pretty good average because baseball was a lot different back then. It wasn't the launch angle swinging. You think about his ability to play and have longevity. Playing 16 years, but in the history of the American League, I think he's 3rd of all times games started at the hot corner. And, he started the legacy in Oakland, when he, go to Carney Lansford and Eric Chavez and Josh Donaldson and stuff, though, and even Matt Chapman of that stellar play on the hot corner. I mean, this guy started it, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us. Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, boss.
Yeah, but even just think of this, though. Sometimes my phone kind of goes out. This phone has been tripping. Google Fi sucked. But, you think about, what I was going to say. You just think about when the A's came here to the Coliseum in 1968. He was a part of that to get people into baseball over on this side of the bay. The Raiders are already here. The Warriors played a few games over on this side, but they're still the San Francisco Warriors. He was really a big part of that scene, man. So he's a real special to a lot of people, and my heart goes out to him. I mean, this is a guy. This family, my heart goes out to. This is a guy. I gotta say, definitely over 200 home runs, had 1,000 hits, and had 1,000 RBIs. You think of all the major league players that have ever played. A lot of them do not get to have that station. So, big ups to him, man, and condolences to his family and all his friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in a moment of silence for the late Captain Sal Bando. Thank you, fellow A's fans and show listeners. Before we move on into this abbreviated edition of AFR, I did want to just remind everybody that's of course, tuning in live, that there is a fan question of the night sitting out there. So if you haven't had a chance to do so, be sure to head on over to either Facebook.com/AsFAnRadio or at A's_fan_radio over on Twitter to submit your response to that fan question of the night. Just look for any post or tweet that has fan question of the night tied into it. Click on that or click the quote of post or tweet that will take you back to the original post or tweet that went up at 5 p.m. Submit your responses, and I, of course, will read off all those responses near the end of tonight's broadcast. It's a 3-part fan question of the night for this spring training edition of the show. Those 3 parts being, we want to hear your thoughts on the late Sal Bando. Number 2, of course, which we'll be getting into next here in a little bit, your thoughts on the new ballpark situation for our beloved green and gold. And the third and final part of that 3-part fan question of the night for tonight is your expectations on how spring training will play out for the A's. And, of course, we will recap the first week's worth of spring training games and take a look at what's ahead as well before the night is over with. On that note, again, since it's been a while since we came at you here on the show, a lot, not just, just a lot, period, regardless of how you look at things, have happened with the ballpark development. Sitting here wondering, this team going to stay? Are they going to head to the dismal city in the desert and make the same mistake that a certain football team ended up making? let's go ahead and, Bauce, bring everyone up to speed on what has gone down since the last time we came on this show with the A's new ballpark project.
I mean, not really much, but the same hot air. You know, apparently the affordable housing thing is still an issue, which I told you guys was going to be an issue. Look, John Fisher, state people in the United States, but those billionaires, they'll become by being nice. In most cases, he's stingy with his money. He's entitled. He was a guy born on third base and doesn't think he has to comply to certain state laws. I mean, it's public land. You have to go kick in for affordable housing. He really doesn't want to benefit. He has been moving the goalpost, period, in this. And, you know, I happen to run into Shane Tao, or me and her are pretty cool. And shout out to the mayor, given all the heat that she's getting, you know, and I'll talk about that in a second. But Shane, you know, told me she actually has spoken to John Fisher. Yes, the mayor has spoken to John Fisher. I mean, of course, you know, she said it's going to be positive because he's going to say all the positive things. All she can do is go on what he tells her, but she have to pressed him, I'm pretty sure, because Shane does not strike me as a person that's going to step off of what she believes in, and that she's not going to raid the general fund, the chest box, or whatever you want to call it, you know, drawers. They're not going to dig out of it for this team at all, nor should she. So, you know, she says the talks have begun again. I really don't know what that is, because the infrastructure off-site monies are still not at play. I mean, you just had Nate Miley go on some local access channel and say, from what he's hearing, it's not looking good. No, I don't think it's looking good either, because there's been no traction. This thing should be moving well on, and it's not. We had the mega grant not come through. I know they're trying for other grants or what have you, but that's still difficult in itself, though, and to really stomach the possibility of losing the team again, like you lost with the NFL and the NBA. But I look at them in Vegas, how it's like dating, and I don't know if you guys have heard me. I've said this to people a lot, an analogy. If you're, I speak from a guy's perspective, but if you're liking a young lady, and, you know, or even if you're older person, but you know that if she is reciprocating the effort from you, like, I want to go on a date with you, I like to see you, I want to hang out, you know, I text you, you text back, I call, you know, you're always stuck. If a woman wants your time, she gonna make some availability for you. All them other excuses, don't believe in it. And I don't think that's the same with us men too, because if there's a woman that you're not feeling, you're not gonna just go put out all the extra effort and you'll try to avoid it. The point is, John Fisher and them are doing all they can out there in the desert. You know, they hired a lobby team. You know, Caval's on the list. I mean, you know, we've seen various people report that. It's not like he's denying it. And, you know, they're going to go for it, guys. That from now, what I've heard from people, they are definitely asking for public money. At what form that comes in, I don't know. There's a Clark County commissioner, or I don't know if she's a state senator, but the lady said that they need to be a part of the tax base, and pretty much that, you know, they're going to get, you know, some kind of handouts, man. They got to kick back in, too. You can't get a free ride. Mark Davis is lucky to get the free ride that he got, but John Fisher's not getting that free ride. And Major League Baseball knows that. Hence why you heard Rob Manfred talking about waiving the relocation fee, because they're going to have to come out of pocket. They've already got indications that Clark County is not going to be, the commissioners or the representatives in Clark County are not going to be for funds for the public dime, the general fund going to the A's for another ballpark. They're not doing it. I mean, I see, you know, it seems that reports are that Phil Ruffin is pulled out or is just not going for what John Fisher's offering. That doesn't surprise me. Also, the Tropicana, which to some people say it makes the most sense. that really makes no sense to me because Las Vegas Boulevard is congested. It's going to be crazily congested if you have all those people coming to a game, well, projected coming to a game. And now the Rio, which is always kind of been on the back burner. I mean, people have been predicting for the last 5 years. But it's kind of funny to me because they said they've been talking to the A's for some years now. And when I hear years from what my sources have told me, this is going back to like 2017. So they've been talking to them. So that makes you think that, Dave Campbell sold us the bill of goods, like he's not looking at any other place. But I even got other sources that are saying, Nashville and Montreal are, in the mix as far as people who they're looking at. It's not maybe as serious as they are in Las Vegas, but they've had talk. Don't think they haven't. You guys are out your mind if you think they haven't, because they're looking at who will give them the money. I think Montreal really wants, the Expos back, or, they want baseball back. In Nashville, you see they just kicked in, public money for the Titan Stadium, new stadium. Down south, they'll kick in public money for sports. They love sports. Look at the SEC, and the ACC in sports. People kick in money, public money for that stuff. They just do. And Nashville, where Dave Stewart is trying to promote, trying to get the stars or whatever, whether expansion or not, they would kick in the money. So we have an issue here. But the thing is, with the A's wanting public money in Las Vegas, they want money for the infrastructure too, from what I'm told by somebody who's kind of would be in the know. So if you are trying to get something, basically, if the word is true about they want $500 million in public funds just for a stadium, then they want infrastructure money, they're trying to get a deal somewhat similar to the A's as far as the money's given to them. I don't see them getting that. Yes, there's word people say they can get a fifth district or what have you, but still, that's still a tax of the public. Are they really going to go for that in a time like this? Because if you guys remember, the last time they had a special session, or the Nevada legislature had their session, and they did the thing for the Raiders, all those people lost their jobs in their next election. People voted them out. Citizens were pissed that people are still pissed that the Raiders have gotten that kind of deal. And their infrastructure.
I was just going to say, just to chime in on real quick with that, since you happen to be on the subject of that, and I'm pretty sure Bauce does it as well. I've spied around and taken a look at some of the responses out there, the people that live in the Las Vegas area have put out as a result of this, and there are many out there who, because of the very things Bauce is talking about right now that are part of the public, this is why they don't want to see a baseball team come out there, because they don't want to see them, the city lose public money into yet another stadium. And also a lot of them are pushing for rather having an expansion team as well, because of how notoriously much of a cheap ass John Fisher is. My bad, Bauce, but I just wanted to throw that little tidbit on there since you did that. Go ahead and continue.
No, always feel free to chime in. I'm not tripping, but then understand this, and and I'm trying to. Obviously, I want the A's to stay here, so let's just get that out there right now. But I'm trying to be, as I get older, be more objective and look at all sides. But I see what the citizens are saying. They see the T-Mobile Arena, where the hockey team, the Knights, play at, privately funded. Yeah, you get a lot of events, sporting events and concerts or whatever, all come there. Now, great. They're building that sphere thing, the MGM sphere, the little ball bubble. Guess what? Privately financed. Now they're talking about the NBA arena, which will kind of be where Blue Diamond and Las Vegas Boulevard, which is south of the Strip, but really not that far from the Strip. My family's timeshare is, near there, and they're talking about a stadium right there, privately financed. When people see privately financed, yeah, they know it might cost, but at least I have the right to choose if I'm going to pay for it or not. So you're asking for another venue to be publicly funded. There's a problem because Vegas is in the running for an MLS franchise, like them in San Diego, are competing for the final spot to be in the 30th team. So you fucking tell me, everybody, what's really the hell going on in this shit, though, man? You know, they want the MLS because soccer is growing big. It just is in the United States. There's a lot of different people, a lot of different cultures that, you know, people are starting to look at other sport avenues. It just is what it is.
Speaking of example, they're about to have Formula One racing go down there at some point here in the next year or so.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And the NBA. So if you ask Vegas residents, who would they rather have? Would they rather have Cashman Field just get updated privately for the MLS, or the NBA getting a team there in Las Vegas that will be privately financed? Ask yourself, what would they rather have? Those two things, or the MLB? The MLB would laugh. They would not want to, hand over, their own dollars for it. So that's where we're at on that. I mean, as far as Oakland, it seems like they have put that on the back burner and saying we're going to see if we can get that. Now, the legislature ends, I think, in 3 months. So if they don't get any traction with that, they have decisions to make. The Coliseum lease runs out at the end of next year. There's a lot of decisions to make. I don't foresee an extension because the city is not going to allow themselves to get played like they did with the Raiders. Raiders knew what they were doing, and they got that 3-year extension on there, knowing fucking well that they were going to be going to Las Vegas. They did that ahead of time. I don't see them getting played again. Yeah, I hear people say, "Oh, they need the tax dollars," but you guys are going to hinder other projects, like the ASEG project. You're going to hinder that in the midst of trying to appease a team that doesn't evidently show they want to be here. So there's a lot of things at play, everybody, and we will have to see what goes on. But I am of the mindset that one way or the other, the Las Vegas saga, it's going to come to head this year. It's either show or go what Las Vegas is really going to do. John Fisher, you got to put up your money or not. And then you got 2024, the beginning of 2024. If John Fisher does not have a stadium solution, I feel that Major League Baseball, well, they already said they're going to take him off revenue sharing, but he's just going to sell. They're going to be like, fuck you, dude. You can't get nothing done. Get out of here. I believe that's where we're going. So, interesting times coming up over the next 9 months, you say.
Definitely is going to be interesting times, especially even more so that if for any of y'all that have forgotten since we last touched bases on this, that the E&A for Howard Terminal runs out in May, and a lot of people are wondering what ultimately ends up happening if they extend that or not. Will be a hint at any sort of future determination with stuff. We of course also for the last month or so, had our good friend Chris Townsend over on A's Cast ranting and raving about some sort of news coming out in March in regards to Howard Terminal. Well, it's March, Townie. We're waiting, so I guess we'll have to wait and see ultimately what happens with that. But yeah, it's going to be a real interesting time to see what happens with that. If Fisher ponies up the money and does the right thing here and helps close the funding gap to actually get something done with Howard Terminal, if he's going to actually do anything in regards to down there, if they do end up going to Vegas, or if ultimately in the long run, which is something that many of us still feel to be the case, he ends up selling, regardless if he decides to sell before January of next year, or like Bauce pointed out and alluded to, he gets all the way up to next year and basically continues to show what many out there in the field has been his MO, which is he gets cold feet at the last minute and just cannot close the deal on shit. As always, we will keep you up to date as best as we can, either here on the show or on our social media pages in between shows when the latest updates with this entire matter comes out and hits the airwaves. On that note, real quick, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to my co-host to get his final thought out of the way so that way he can get back over to things with his stepson in basketball over in the city. Boss man, your final thoughts while I go and get myself a refill of some coffee to talk a little spring training baseball with everyone once you are done.
All right, people. A lot has been made. The Sangtown won a very close election for the mayoral spot. A lot of people seem tonight can't get over themselves. They need to dust off their little tears and stop crying about this woman and allow her to have a chance to try to be mayor. You inherit problems. That's what you asked for. You inherit problems. But if you guys are already talking about recalling her off top, you guys are not giving this city a chance. To replace her with who? Lauren Taylor? Ignacio de la Fuente? Who? Be serious about you guys yourselves. She won the election, and the old guard, and I have to say this, of the black population in Oakland, some of the old guard people who have had their hands out, have been milking shit since the 80s and 90s, are afraid of losing their little spot of getting perked. And, you know, they can't deal with it. Some of you people who are with the NAACP of Oakland and with other groups that are demanding Shane be out because of, you know, her winning the election, and then the stuff with LaRon Armstrong, the former police chief, him getting the boot. You guys are only upset because you're have won the election and booted this guy out. You guys would not be complaining about trying to recall. You're talking about safety on the streets in Oakland? Law and order? Oakland is the fucking wild, wild west. And San Francisco is Gotham City. Shit is a fucked up metropolis over on our side of the bay. There are homeless people everywhere. People are getting robbed. You saw the lady, the angel cake lady, dying. That was, you know, people near the boss's job. That's all I'll say. Quite near the boss's job. When it happened during lunchtime, people saw it happen. A courier comes into my job. His own work van got stolen by on 14th. He goes in to make a delivery, and the whole damn van is gone. People are getting shot left and right. And you got acting like Armstrong did the greatest thing ever. Oakland is still out of control. Oakland is still out of control. You know? There were some things that he did. There was misconduct. They weren't reporting it. You got to have accountability in the city. And you know what? I applaud Shane. Because the real leaders do the things that are the toughest thing to do. He's a popular guy. He's from Oakland. Yes, I understand it. But then, while she has him on paid leave, he gets on the media and talks shit. You're insubordinate. You cannot be insubordinate. You're the police chief. You are not union protected. I'm in the union now. I'm protected on some end. I'm protected at a lot of angles. You're not protected. You can't get on there and scoff your nose at the damn mirror as if she can't just cut your water off. Now his water's cut. And now you're having ridiculous rallies. You know what? I'm sick of these rallies with these preachers doing the same shit from the 60s and 70s. Look here, the civil rights era, the Black Panthers, God bless them, it's over. You guys still run with an antiquated, old pastime, old doldrum idiot pressers and rallies. It doesn't make any sense. MLK, Malcolm X, Abernathy, gone. Andrew Young and Jesse Jackson are old as shit. And you guys, when I see these things, I don't even see any young people on the forefront pushing it. At least in those days when the civil rights era and all that stuff, those were young people that were pushing it. And these old-ass guys like Bishop Bob Jackson, no disrespect, but I'm going to say he's an old-ass man, 80 years old, 65, 70. You guys are the leaders of this stuff? No. If you guys are going to do something, you better put young people stand up on the forefront and actually lead this because they don't have new ideas. Your guys' way doesn't work anymore. We go get the NAACP. The NAACP, man, has not been much in a long time. We're talking decades. They'll do nothing but collect the damn check. Yeah, I'm saying. I don't care if no one gets mad at me. They do what they do and collect the check. Ain't nothing changing. And don't tell me, oh, this is stuff you can't see. Bullshit. Why can't I see it? Again, you guys are just mad because the guy you wanted was a black mayor didn't win. You feel the city taken away from him. Well, let me tell you something. That was went for Shane Tao got in the office. Matter of fact, Ian, God bless him, I like L.A.U. Harris. That's what happened at the end of L.A.U.'s time. When everybody started moving to goddamn Tracy and Stockton and up to fucking Sacramento before people ultimately moved out of California. And I give Shane a lot of credit. She said during her inaugural speech, this can't change with one mayor. Talking about her getting Oakland back, helping Oakland get the tide swung back in the right direction. Just like it can't go positive with one. It went bad with consecutive mayors. So just don't give me that bullshit and put this all on Shane and call for a recall. What did you do for Oakland? In her first year of being a mayor, she didn't implement her own administration, her own policies and everything, the charter and all that stuff. So if you get somebody else there to implement their staff, it's going to be all fucked up. At least let her run her term, unless she does something so egregious. This is not egregious. You guys are not losing sleep. Did you guys lose sleep when Ann Kilpatrick got fucked? Because crime was actually more under control when she was running shit. And she ain't even from here. Now. What you gonna say then? Nothing. Numbers ain't gonna lie on that. You at least could go into death on Oakland and at least not really worry about your car being smacked out. Now, you can't do that. Your car is getting destroyed in 2023. People are rolling around with detectors and detectors, any type of expensive jewelry, or it's like a laptop or anything like that of valuable, something of value. They rolling around, making it happen if need be. That's what they're doing. That's why they don't hit a lot. They're not hitting for clothes. They hitting for something they can put on the street and sell. These criminals always find a way. They advance their way of doing things. So you activists and all you do, you need to advance your way. If not, Oakland will still be what people call the shithole. I don't think it's a shithole, but let me tell you something. It ain't looking great right now. So anyhow, you guys take care. Just really think about that. Really think long and hard about what you're asking when you want this mayor gone. I'm out.
Boss man, thank you as always. You take care and enjoy the rest of your night over there with your stepson and his basketball associated events, which means y'all got me for the remaining third of tonight's abbreviated edition of the show, which reminds me, and I'll go ahead and make this be the final reminder to y'all out there that are, of course, watching this broadcast live. Final reminder to get in your responses to tonight's fan question of the night on this edition of A's Fan Radio. So if you haven't yet done so, this is your final reminder to head over to either Facebook.com/AsFanRadio or at A's_fan_radio over on Twitter. Look for the posts or tweets that have fan question of the night tied on there. Click on those, or if they're quoted posts, click on the original quoted post or tweet that's attached to all that. Submit your response to the fan question of the night, and I, of course, will read off those responses at the end of the broadcast. It's a three-part fan question of the night for this edition of the show. We want to, 1, hear your thoughts on the late Sal Bando, 2, hear your thoughts on the new ballpark situation, and 3, your expectations on how spring training will play out for your Oakland Athletics. And speaking of which, that is what we're about to get into right here, right now, as we talk spring training action here for the first time in 2023 on A's Talk from the fans' point of view. Take a look back real quick at game action that, of course, played out from last Saturday, the 25th of February, through today, and, of course, preview what the A's have on tap as far as spring training action goes between now and when we come at you with the next edition of the show on Thursday, March the 9th. We're going to go ahead and just quickly go over these games that played out, because I've noticed that MLB.com has kind of changed up the way the box score setup is over there on the recap portion of the page, so I'm going to need a little bit of time to take a look at that and figure out how to switch back and forth between all that. So given that this is an abbreviated show, this will be an abbreviated look at how things played out, with the plan, of course, being that we go back to actually breaking down past games a little bit more like you're accustomed of us doing here on the show. On that note, let's go ahead and take a look back at how things played out from last Saturday up till now down in the Cactus League for your and our beloved green and gold. The A's, of course, playing their first spring training game of 2023 on February the 25th as they opened up Cactus League play at Hohokam Stadium in Mesa, Arizona against the Arizona Diamondbacks. When it was all said and done, the first game of the spring kind of resembled more of a football score when it came to a close. Your Oakland Athletics picking up their first win of the spring during the first game of the spring as they defeat the Diamondbacks by a final of 12-7. The following day, the 26th of February, the A's would play their first road game of the 2023 Cactus League campaign as they would face off against a split squad Milwaukee Brewers team over there in Peoria, Arizona. The A's picking up their second consecutive win and open up the Cactus League undefeated at 2-0 as they end up getting a win on February the 26th over the Brewers by the final of 11-4. Monday the 27th would, of course, see the A's get handed their first loss of the Cactus League season as they, of course, would square off with the NL West Colorado Rockies, who would defeat them in a low-scoring football score resemblance of a score, with the Rockies defeating Oaktown in that contest by the final of 7-3. After that, the A's would face off against the Anaheim Angels. Remember, we still refuse to acknowledge them as the LA Angels because they don't play in the city of Los Angeles. They don't even play in LA County. They play in Orange County. They are the Anaheim Angels. I don't care what any of y'all say out there. They are the Anaheim Angels, or as my co-host has always liked to call them, the Anaheim Devils, as these AL West rivals faced off for the first time this spring. Also, the first time that A's fans get to have a look at Mr. Fuji, a.k.a. Mount Fuji, pitching in his first game of the spring, looking pretty good. Saw a replay of a couple strikeouts he got early in the game, and that splitter still looks as nasty as it did in some of those videos that I saw a couple months back when news crept up that he was going to be signing with the A's. Ultimately, though, when it was all said and done, the A's would not be victorious in Shintaro. Here I go trying to mispronounce the name and all that by accident. They would not be successful in picking up the W in Fuji's spring training debut, as the Angels would, of course, win that contest by a final score of 11-5. And it's been speculated most likely at this point that when the thing ends up counting for real at the end of the month, that most likely Mount Fuji will be the A's opening day starters squaring off against, most likely, Shohei Ohtani when the A's open up at home this season against this very Anaheim Angels squad. Yesterday, of course, the A's played in something that you usually only see happen during spring training games, and that's a contest that ends up in a tie, as you had a high-scoring affair yesterday between the Oakland Athletics and the Cincinnati Reds in a game that ultimately ended in a 14-14 draw between the A's and the NL Central Reds. And, of course, their most recent game action was earlier today as they played in Mesa, but as the road team at the other MLB spring training venue in Mesa, that of course being Salone Park, which is the home of the Chicago Cubs. The A's falling to the Cubbies earlier today by a final score of 6-1. And, hey, it's spring training. Really shouldn't make much of the win-loss record. At least that's the way I've always approached it. That's the way Bauce has approached it. It seems like, the majority of the hosts that we have had on this show throughout its entirety have tried to approach it like that. We're talking about practice here, if you want to quote Allen Iverson, or to, kind of flip around and change some wording about things. We're talking about spring training. It's always been in my eyes that it's a bigger deal to me that these guys, get their work in, work off the rust, all that good stuff, so that way they're good to go when the bad boy starts counting for real, and you have the gun go off on game 1 of 162. Because really, at the long run, so what? If the A's end up being the Cactus League champions, just to throw a possibility out there. that doesn't really matters much. These are practice games, and that's all that really matters at this point, regardless of how we feel, how this team's put together and who's on the team. That's just, the reality of things. If you're any of the 30 teams out there, you're trying to just gauge guys, see where they're at, see how they're going, and ultimately put together the best, 28 guys for the first month of the season, and then 26 after that guys on the roster that you can field out there as the season goes on. On that note, let's go ahead and take a look ahead to what your Oakland Athletics have on tap for 2023 spring training action between now and next week's show on March the 9th. The A's, of course, will be playing at home at Hohokam Stadium tomorrow in a 12:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:05 p.m. Mountain Standard Time contest, as they, of course, will be hosting... Wow, did I accidentally screw things up here with that, or did I skip over something? Okay, my bad, I skipped over that. That was the image, actually, for the next day. This is the game that will be going down tomorrow. My apologies for that. Hey, still spring training for us here on AsFANRAdio. I like the ability to be able to use that when I screw up on the spring training shows. Hey, it's spring training for them, it's spring training for us, too. So apologies as we get kinks out of our system over the course of the spring here on AFR as well. Where was I? Okay, yeah. Tomorrow, 12:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:05 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for those of you, of course, that are tuning in and happen to be down there in the valley for spring training right now. The A's, of course, will be at Hohokam Stadium to face off against the Kansas City Royals, again, 12:05 p.m. our time, 1:05 p.m. Mountain Standard Time out there in the desert. There'll be doubleheader action, I guess you could technically say, for the A's on Saturday, March the 4th, as one half of the A's in a split squad will host the Cleveland Guardians in a contest at Hohokam Stadium in Mesa, Arizona, that will go down at 12:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:05 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. The other split squad for your Oakland Athletics will be serving as the home team against a split squad Cincinnati Reds team, and that will be in a 1:05 p.m. contest that's part of Big League Weekend down in Las Vegas, Nevada. You will see two-game action again for the A's on Sunday, March the 5th, as split squad A's team will head to Peoria on Sunday, March the 5th, to take on the San Diego Padres in a contest that will begin at 12:10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:10 Pacific Standard let me start over with that again. 12:10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. A's versus Padres over in Peoria, while the the other split squad A's team will face off again against that Cincinnati Reds split squad team in day 2 of Big League Weekend down in Las Vegas, with that contest on Sunday the 5th starting at 1:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The A's will have an off day on March the 6th and will resume game action back out in the Arizona desert on Tuesday, March the 7th, with a 12:10 Pacific Standard Time, 1:10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time contest that technically will be a road matchup against the Arizona Diamondbacks. On March the 8th, which of course is a Wednesday, the A's will play an exhibition game against Team Columbia that will go down at Hohokam Stadium at 12:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:05 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Team Columbia, of course, is one of the squads that will be partaking in the World Baseball Classic, which, of course, will begin next Tuesday, March the 7th. And, of course, with next week's show, that means we'll be looking back at game action that goes down in the World Baseball Classic, along with game recaps and previews for your Oakland Athletics as well. So, again, exhibition action between your A's and Team Columbia at Hohokam Stadium next Wednesday, March the 8th. And, of course, the day of the next edition of your number one source for everything and anything on your Oakland Athletics, the A's will be hosting the Dodgers at Hohokam Stadium over there in Mesa. The contest will start at 12:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:05 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And safe travels, of course, as always, to friends of the show and others out there that are in the Arizona desert to go catch spring training action for your Oakland Athletics. And if many of you out there are like me, when I went down there to go catch spring training games. I wouldn't just catch, A's games. If there happen to be games with other teams going on that happened before or after the A's played and I was close enough to get to, I would go and check those out. There was, like, for example, one year when I went out there, we caught an afternoon A's game and then went and watched the White Sox play the Royals in a night game over there at the complex the White Sox share with the Dodgers. You have the chances of that happening. And just, kind of the one advantage now with how things are set up down there in Arizona with the Cactus League, versus where down at the Grapefruit League in Florida, those facilities are spread way the hell out. The spring training facilities over in Arizona are a lot, closer within a good, almost 10, 50-mile radius of each other. So you have the opportunity and chances at times of catching multiple games during the course of a day down there. So have fun, be safe, and enjoy for all of you going down there, especially if any of you out there are making your first ever trip down to spring training. It's always very pleasure, something that I always encourage A's fans and fans of the other 29 teams out there in MLB. If you haven't gone and checked out spring training, it's something that you should definitely check off of your bucket list. So if you haven't done it, go ahead and do it. If it's been a while since you've done it, when the chance comes, definitely do it again. It's been good hot while since the last time I went out there. 2010 was the last time I made the trip down to catch any Cactus League action down in the Arizona desert. One of these years, we'll make it out there again, as long as my beloved baseball team remains my beloved baseball team and stays here. And if that ends up not being the case, then, well, you already know we've touched bases on that. If they leave, fuck them at this point, but we'll cross that bridge if and when we get there. But again, safe travels to all. They'll be heading out to catch those games that will be, of course, recapping a week from now, and of course all the other remaining spring training games that'll be going down between now and the start of the season. On that note, hey, if you haven't had a chance to answer it up to this point in time, your time is up. It is time now to go ahead and read off any and all responses that y'all have had a chance to turn in for tonight's fan question of the night. If you didn't get a chance to submit one for this edition of the show, or if you happen to be watching the recording of this broadcast, if you're watching the recording, obviously you can't chime in because it's the recording, it's not live. But if that, or if you did not get a chance to respond in before the cutoff time, hey, don't sweat it. It is what it is. We, as always, will try to always throw out a fan question of the night on each and every edition of A's Fan Radio that we do. If something happens, and of course we don't have one, I usually try to keep y'all posted in regards to that. But more often than not, there usually is a fan question of the night, always tied to every one of our broadcasts. And usually those go up originally around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over on our Facebook page and our Twitter page. And then we, of course, sporadically repost them here and there, and then put out a reminder, of course, on our social media pages 5 minutes into the broadcast. So if you missed out on this edition of the show, for future reference, always keep your eyes and earballs open to either facebook.com/AsFAnRadio or at A's_fan_radio to submit responses to future versions and editions of the fan question of the night. Now, let's go ahead and see if any of y'all out there got in responses for this show's edition of the fan question of the night. Of course, it was a 3-part fan question for this edition of the show. We wanted to, 1, hear your thoughts on the late Sal Bando, 2, hear your thoughts on the new ballpark situation, and finally, 3, we wanted to hear your expectations on for how spring training would play out for the Oakland Athletics. Currently not seeing any responses to that over on our Twitter page, so I'm going to go ahead and see if anybody chimed in to the fan question over on our Facebook page. Of course, as always, again, facebook.com/AsFanRadio or at A's_fan_radio over on Twitter. And didn't get any responses either. Hey, is what it is. I can accept that. Hey, it's been a while since the last time we came at you here on the show, so maybe y'all missed it. Is what it is. Not going to get all pissed off and jelly about that. It happens sometimes, but definitely keep your eyes and ears open on future editions of the show for the upcoming future fan questions of the night whenever we do editions of A's Fan Radio. On that note, as always, for the latest information pertaining to your number one source for everything and anything on your Oakland Athletics, be sure to check us out at AsFAnRadio.com. Like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/AsFanRadio. Follow us on Twitter at A's_fan_radio. Be sure to check out past editions of the show and more over on our YouTube channel at YouTube.com/AsFanRadio. And, of course, our next show broadcast you can catch right here at the same bat time, same Twitch channel when show number 331, the Spring Training Editions, goes down next Thursday, March the 9th at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on twitch.tv/AsFanRadio, which, of course, brings me now to my final thought of the night here on this edition of the show. First, real quickly, I wanted to remind everybody, in case you have forgotten or just, haven't had a chance to hear things about it or not, have been busy out there, a reminder that the celebration of life for the late John R. will be going down this weekend on Saturday, March the 4th, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over at the San Leandro Senior Community Center, which is located at 13909 East 14th Street in San Leandro, California. Again, John R.'s celebration of life will be this Saturday, the 4th, at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at the San Leandro Senior Community Center, located at 13909 East 14th Street. That's right over by where San Leandro Hospital is, pretty much in San Leandro, California. I'm definitely going to try my best to make it out there for that celebration of life for my good longtime friend, the late John R. If not, I will definitely make sure to get something out there to let his family know about that. But, because, again, I'm still kind of loosely recovering from those injuries that I sustained during that little fall that I took back on the eve of Super Bowl Sunday. But obviously, with things healing along a little bit faster finally, because pretty much one thing I was waiting on is this one gash and cut that I got on my left palm that was pretty big and deep, and that's pretty much finally healed up at this point. So I'm more than confident and leaning towards probably about 80-90% chance that I will be out there at the celebration of life for John R. on Saturday. And definitely those of you out there that knew John for many years, regardless if they're as long as me, maybe not as long as me or even longer than myself and others, those of you that, got an opportunity to meet this gentleman, if you got the time to make it into your schedule, I would definitely head out to that. And again, that will be Saturday, March 4th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at 13909 East 14th Street. That would be the, of course, San Leandro Senior Community Center in San Leandro, California. Outside of that, as always, thank you as always for tuning in to this fan-produced podcast that, of course, talks about our local favorite baseball team. Take care. Be safe. Make sure to be aware of your surroundings at all times, regardless if you're sober, if you have a little drank in your system, or if you're on that medical research, or both, or whatever you indulge in as your little shindig out there. Just always be aware of your surroundings, regardless of that, or you'll end up like I did on the night of Super Bowl Sunday with multiple cuts to multiple parts of your body and a chipped front tooth. But hey, feeling better. Could have been a whole lot worse. Just, a reminder that, getting older, man, and just got to be better aware of what's going on around me at that point in time, and just make sure y'all do the same out there. Again, thanks to everyone that has sent birthday wishes my way, with, of course, it being my 38th birthday today. And on that note, hey, thank you all for tuning in. Apologies again that it's been a little over a month since the last time we came at you. But, hey, spring training is underway, and we're going to get back into doing things as we normally do as best as we can. Got some other things will be going down on my end in the next month or two, but I will wait until a little bit closer to April to touch bases on what's going on with that. But that situation could affect some alignings of future shows going forward, but I'll wait until we get to that point in time to keep you posted on that. On that note, thank you as always for tuning in, fellow A's fans, wherever you may be tuning in from tonight. Y'all take care, and of course, enjoy what is left of your Thursday night. The views and opinions of our cast, our guests, and our listeners are in no way, shape, or form affiliated with the Oakland Athletics or Major League Baseball. Good night, Walter Haas. Good night, King Al, wherever you may be. Good night, Chesty Puller, wherever you are. Good night, Auntie Di-Di. Love you and miss you. And good night to you as well, Godfather Grizz Jones. Love you and miss you as well. Hey, don't drink and drive. Wrap it before you tap it. Pay attention to your surroundings so you don't end up face planting and getting into a fight with the sidewalk, because just like the internet, the sidewalk will remain undefeated. Just take care of yourselves. Be good to each other, because we want to see you all right back here. Same bat time, same Twitch channel as the spring training editions of AFR continue to roll on when we come back at you again next Thursday, March the 9th at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until then, good night, Oakland and beyond. And as always, be sure to stay Oakland, my friends.